Hi, this is Karthik from Design School Algorithm.com. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to do these amazing Elementor animated backgrounds for free using Elementor free version and a free add-on plugin for Elementor called Unlimited Elements. Now, watch what happens as I hover my cursor over this. All of the particles are concentrated on that area, and this is basically JavaScript. You can either do CSS animations or JavaScript animations such as this. You don't have to write code. You can simply port the code from CodePen demo and you can make it work in Elementor just like this one. And it's available with just switch of a button. So if I click on this section, go to style, there'll be a separate tab called unlimited backgrounds and I can switch between different backgrounds just like that. I'm going to show you how in this tutorial. Stay tuned. And to proceed with the tutorial, you need to have Elementor free version, of course, because we're going to do it using Elementor interface itself. Also, in addition to Elementor free version, install this plugin called Unlimited Elements. It's a plugin built for Elementor. Again, this is also free. You can download and install it from the WordPress repository. And it's this one by Unlimited Elements. Install and activate that plugin. Make sure you also have Elementor free version. If you have Pro, not a problem, not really required for this. So in your dashboard, once you install Unlimited Elements, you'll have a new entry called Unlimited Elements. So if you click on that, it will take you to these different kinds of widgets. Of course, you get a lot of free widgets. You can simply install them, modify the code. I've already explained all this. You can search the channel for Unlimited Elements and there are plenty of tutorials on this. But in this tutorial, we're concerned with the background. So there's something called background widgets. I'll just click on that section and it takes us to this. Now, there are a lot of free animations or animated backgrounds. As you can see, it's labeled as free moving stripes. I'll just click on install. You can also preview the animation itself. So since I've installed this, just open up any Elementor page, post or a custom post type by clicking on edit with Elementor. I'll just click on a section. So whenever you create a section or whatever section you have on any page, under style tab, you'll also find something called unlimited background. Click that. And since we just installed that moving stripes background, I just click that. And just like that, I get my background with just a click of a button. Of course, it offers me the option to change my colors. I'll change this and I'll change this. I'll update. Right? Now it's working. If the attributes are not working, you can simply click on the color ones, like just click on the color itself instead of clicking on the global color, right? It should work pretty well, right? I'll just click on this black again. Now it's reflected in the background itself. I'll click update. So whenever you create a new section, you can pick this background. So I'll just click on height. I'll just select a minimum height. If I go to style tab, again, the same thing, unlimited elements background. I can pick any of the installed backgrounds or you can create your own, which I'll get to in a bit. So the moving stripes, again, I'll just click that and it loads with the default attributes. You can change all of this in the code section. I'll show you that in a bit. So this is how you install animated backgrounds. Now I'll show you how to achieve the animation that I was showing you earlier. Right? I'll just click this. I'll just click on jumping shapes. This is the one that I created, right? How do you make such animations? Well, it's simple. You just go to the background entry, just click on background widgets and there is an option called add background widget button. Just click that. Just give your widget a title. I'll in fact remove this jumping widget. Hit OK. I'll also remove this. You can always remove the widgets that you don't really need in unlimited elements. It doesn't install even a single widget. When you install this plugin, you need to install any widget that you need manually, which is kind of cool. It has a couple of default ones. Now we'll create our own one. So I'll call it particles or BG particles. You can call it anything you want. Just give it a name. Click on the widget name. It will be autofilled. You can also change this, but just leave it autofilled. Click on add background widget. Now this is a blank widget and we need to put some code in it. And you can basically Google CSS backgrounds or CSS animated backgrounds CodePen, and it'll give you a ton of options. So I'll just click on widgets again, go to background widgets, and here's our newly created widget, which we called it BG particles. Now, when you hover over it, you see something called edit background widget, this pencil icon. You can either click on this or click on this three dots button and click on edit in new tab. So that will take you to the place where you have to enter the code that will be used for this background animation. So a quick Google search. So you can search for animated background CodePen or CSS animated background CodePen, and you'll get a ton of pens such as this one, right? Just click on the first result or any result you want, and you'll find a ton of these kinds of animations that you can use in your code. I'll take a complex one, right? There are tons of them. You can pick any of them. There are two kinds of animations: CSS based animation and the JavaScript based animation. It's essentially the same. So how do you port this animation into your Elementor interface? And basically this is the CodePen that I ported from. I'll leave a link to this CodePen in the description down below. And as you can see, you just need to analyze HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you need to copy that code into your newly created background widget, which will then act as the background for our section, right? I'll just close these tabs. There are tons of them, but the process remains the same. It's the same procedure as creating a new widget, right? And it's this one. Anyway, so I can clearly see here that these two are totally unnecessary for our code, right? I can simply remove that. And once you remove that, changes are automatically displayed in CodePen, and the animation doesn't change. It's still working, right? And CSS in this CodePen is totally irrelevant to these particles. These particles are generated by the JavaScript itself. I quickly understood that by analyzing JavaScript. You can simply copy the JavaScript into JavaScript area and HTML into HTML area. And even this is not required. This div class, right? It's basically targeting this canvas shapes div class and generating particles so that they can bounce off, right? So all you need to copy is the single line of code. Now back to our newly created widget. Click on HTML. There's some text. Remove the text. Paste the HTML. So that's the HTML code. Update. Now you need to come back and again copy the whole JavaScript code. Control A, copy, and again go to the JavaScript section of the widget and paste, right? You can totally change any of these if you're comfortable with code, or just copy and paste the things. They'll just work fine, because if you're not comfortable with code, the best thing you can do is to port the code and make it work on Elementor, right? So copy the JavaScript. This is the single line that you need to copy, and the whole JavaScript you need to paste it into JavaScript tab. Update. Now our widget must be ready, right? I'll open a new page, or I'll just create a new template, right? I'll just click on add new. I'll call it test, UE test, and I'll just click on create template. We'll test our newly created background widget with this. I'll change the design to Elementor canvas, because we're not really worried about the header and footer in this stuff. I'll just click on add section. A new section is created. I'll just click on this section, change the height to fit to screen. Just click on section again, go to style tab, under unlimited background. Now this is the thing that we created. Just click on that, and just like that, our particles appear. And the best part about this is I'll just publish this template. I'll just click on preview changes. The best part about this is that you can actually interact with the particles. As I hover my cursor over this, you can see the particles are generated wherever I put my cursor. Of course, let's add some widgets in here, right? I'll add a heading widget. I'll center it. It'll just work just like any other normal section. just that we have that animated thing, right? I'll also add an image widget right below the heading widget, right? Let me pick an image. Maybe I'll just pick this one. I'll just click on insert media. Maybe I'll choose a smaller size. I'll also choose a mask for it, right? You can put anything you want, your regular flow. I just want to showcase the background. Update, the background is present. I'll just click on preview changes again. Now you can see that even when my widgets are present, the background is totally interactive, and I like it that way, which is the reason why I chose how to port this code pen, right? All we did was we just copied the single line from HTML into our HTML and the whole JavaScript. We don't need CSS, so we didn't copy it, right? You need a basic understanding of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. But if you're doing pure CSS animation, which I'll show you in a bit, you don't even need JavaScript. Anyway, so I'll just click on this background, and you can do another cool thing. You can also add a overlay on top of this animated background if that's what you're willing to, right? So I'll just click on classic. Let's add a color overlay and it will still work just fine. You can also pick blend mode for your background and that overlay will still work. But the problem with overlay in this particular animation is that once you have overlay, you lose that interactive nature of the background, because the hover event is not recorded, because when I hover over it, I'm actually hovering over an overlay but not the animated background itself. If I remove that overlay, right, if I remove background overlay and update that, I can interact with my background. So that's one thing that you need to note. Right now I can interact with the background. When I hover my cursor over any point, all the particles are moved. And this is just one example. I'll show you another code pen, and this is another pen that I found on CodePen, right? It's this glossy thing. You can see that here. So these are the glossy squares, and this is a form. We don't need the form. We just need the HTML required and the CSS required so that we can have this as our animated background section. So again, under this, I can see that this whole thing corresponds to the form and we don't need that code. All we need is this. Again, we need everything starting from this, right? Because that one is the square. So whichever is the color class, this is actually the square. You can see a couple of squares floating around. These are the squares actually, and these are supplied because of this color class. So we'll just need them. We don't need this whole form thing. So starting from here, I'll remove everything, even in here. Wait for it to update. And just like that, you now see the squares moving around and the glossy background. So we need all that. So copy everything in between. Just remove the whole form thing. So after this box, you just need to see a single div. I'll just copy this whole thing. We need to create a new widget, right? I'll just click on back to background widgets. Let's click on add new. I'll call it glossy BG. Again, the name will be autofilled. Click on add background widget. I'll just click on this pencil icon. That will take me to enter the code, HTML, remove the text. And from this pen, copy the HTML. We'll slightly modify this. I'll tell you why in a bit. Whenever there is a generic element such as this, you should not use that in CSS. I've explained this while showing you the widget creator, because when you use a generic element and target it in CSS, any element which is a section will also be affected on the page. When you're building complex layouts using Elementor, there will be multiple sections and all of them will be affected by CSS. So you need to fix that, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. Again, we'll just copy the CSS required. We don't need the body CSS because we just need the CSS so that this whole glossy thing works, right? The whole glossy animation. So everything that contains box, I think till here it's required. The rest all is not required because the rest all CSS is corresponding to the form, right? So I'll just copy everything till here, box. And we also don't need the star. Star stands for every element on the page. Body is for the body element. We don't even need that. Remember, this is for our section. So I'll just copy the code in here. Go to CSS. The previous widget was JavaScript. This is pure CSS. Again, JavaScript will take a bit of loading. So if you're really worried about the performance, you can simply use CSS based animations and they'll just work fine. Now, remember what I told you about that. So you cannot have a generic element. So I'll add something called an ID to the section, and I won't give any random ID. On the right hand side, you see something called UCID. This is a dynamic ID generated by unlimited elements itself. So you don't have to worry about anything. So instead of adding a value like my class or something, you can simply remove this text. Just click between the double quotes and click on this UCID on the right, and that thing is filled. Now in CSS, wherever there is section, just replace that with hash and UCID, right? So section should be replaced with hash and the attribute. Wherever there is section, just keep doing this so that we're not affecting other elements on the page, other normal elements. And the rest all is fine, right? Box class, it can have a box class, right? I think everything else is fine. Update. Again, I'll just reload this page. I have to reload this page as well. That was actually a preview. Again, I'll just click on the section, go to style tab, click on unlimited elements. Now we'll try glossy BG. And just like that, you can see the squares moving. We basically ported this whole code, right? This whole code into our Elementor section. I'll reload the preview and you can also see it in here. I'll update this and I'll just click on preview changes. And just like that, you can see the glossy squares animating over here. This is a pure CSS animation. Of course, I'll change the heading color so that it looks better. I'll just click on style. Let's change this to maybe this. Update. Again, you can update the preview and just like that, you see the glossy background. You can switch easily between the backgrounds. You just need to create the background widget once. You can either do CSS based or JavaScript based like I showed you, and it's really fun, right? You can switch between them, go to section, unlimited background, and you can either switch between the ones created by unlimited element itself or your own, right? The gradient animation is the one given by unlimited elements, available in the free version. You can tweak any of the attributes and that will change the colors and stuff. You can also add attributes in your widgets to customize anything, but if you're not comfortable, you can simply port the code. Again, links to these CodePens, I think they're pretty cool. Links to both of these CodePens will be in the description so that you can port the code the way I showed you. So this is how you add interactive, amazing CSS based or JavaScript based animations to your Elementor sections and spice up your designs just like this. That's it for now. If you found this video helpful or enjoyed this tutorial, thumbs up, subs up, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.